Aaron here. Before we get started, I have to confess that I screwed some things up in this episode of the podcast. I'm a huge fanboy of Wes Bos, and I was more nervous than I normally am. I've been following Wes for years. His courses, his JavaScript courses are amazing. He's got a great Twitter feed. He's just been a huge resource for the learning community for a long time. So being able to interview him was a huge high for me. But in the midst of all of my excitement and nervousness, as you'll probably hear in my voice, just trying to do it well and probably not doing it too well, I forgot to record my mic. I instead was using my computer's microphone, so my audio sounds like garbage, whereas Wes is a real pro. In the beginning, his mic cut out a little bit too because, as he said, he was on Firefox and not Chrome, and he switched over. So a little bit of audio mishaps in the beginning, some awkward questions by me. But other than that, I hope you enjoy getting to know Wes Bos and that you start following him if you aren't already. You take some of his courses if you have not yet, because he's a great guy to learn from. All right, let's get started with Wes Bos. Welcome to the Develop Yourself podcast, where we teach you everything you need to land your first job as a software developer by developing yourself, developing your skills, your habits, your network, and more. I'm your host, Aaron Hayslip, and today I'm going to be nervously interviewing Wes Bos. If you don't know who Wes Bos is, we're going to explain it again in a minute, but he created wesbos.com, tons of online courses. He is the host of Syntax FM, which is one of the top ranking podcasts on technology in the world, and we are going to give you links to all those things, so you check it out after this. Without further ado, here is Wes. All right, Wes, man, thank you so much for doing the podcast. I think, ironically, because our listeners are beginners, I'm not sure, unlike probably a lot of people in the web development world, I'm not sure if they would know much about you or your background. But instead of making you do the intro, I'm going to try and summarize who I think you are. I first learned about you through JavaScript 30, right? You do this big course. So you created wesbos.com, where you host a ton of web development courses. You've got an incredible podcast. Oh, your mic cut out.
Okay, sorry. I use Firefox, and it always does this. So I switched to Chrome.
Cool, as long as it's not me.
Anyways, I was saying podcast. We have guests on like once every 3 months or so, but it's not something that we gravitate towards because we've got so much to talk about ourselves. Yeah.
Well, it's so funny that I think y'all are the perfect folks to do it because you are actually really interested in the nitty gritty. And so I think, for me, in terms of listening to technical podcasts, yours is by far the easiest to listen to because y'all are actually building stuff. Why do you think, because I think it's crazy. Didn't you say at some point, I think I listened to your origin story recently.
Yeah.
You were saying that your JavaScript 30 got like 60,000, something insane folks who signed up to take it.
Yeah. It's over 300,000 now. It's been like the biggest thing I've ever done. I think at least the biggest impact I've had on other developers. So that one definitely hit a nerve and really helped people out.
Why do you think your courses? Because I think all the other ones too, I was just kind of poking around to see, because you have it right there underneath the buy button. How many folks have already bought this course? Yeah, and they're all in the thousands. Some of them tens of thousands. Why do you think your courses have been so successful? Like, what's different about what you're doing versus, $15 Udemy course or something?
Yeah. I think that my courses are definitely not for everybody, but there's a certain type of person who enjoys the way that I explain things, the funny jokes, the approach I take. I basically just take it. And I learned this early on when I was teaching an in-person class. People kept saying, I love the way that you explain things. I remember the very first class I ever taught was WordPress, and I was explaining how the WordPress loop works, where you go to the database, you get some posts, and the WordPress says, all right, I got all these posts. Let me get the first one. Okay, I got the first one. Let's put the title on there, right? And people are like, I love that. That was awesome. I never understood the loop, and now it makes perfect sense. That's so simple. And then I go, maybe the stupid way that I understand it in my head, if I can just say that into a microphone, maybe other people will understand that as well. And that's done really well for me.
I think it's so funny. I think that brings up an interesting point that in my mind, and I wasn't convinced of this at first, but I'm sort of convinced now that people are either good teachers or they're not.
Yeah.
And it's hard to, like, going through, starting coding boot camps and working with other instructors and stuff. Some of the best developers actually make pretty terrible instructors because, and I think part of it might be the expertise gap, right? Like, and I'm sure you've done this for some of your courses, but a lot of the stuff that I've created has been, oh, we should probably teach this technology. I mean, literally everything we teach at this point, whether it be React, Node, whatever, like,
Yeah.
whenever I was programming and someone was paying me at a job to do it, we didn't use those things. So I had to go learn it in order to teach it. And that usually created better content because, there's this expertise gap. You're not fumbling around.
Yeah.
You learned it with probably the way they're going to learn it too.
If you remember what it was like to learn this kind of stuff, that's really important because, yes, it's true. A lot of like really advanced devs, they're so smart that they don't know what they don't know, or they assume things, or they just kind of sort of glaze over something that is just like, whoa, hold on, what was that?
These days, I mean, how do you spend your time? In my mind, like, I picture you setting up for 4 months in your room, building a course and doing a podcast. I mean, but what does it look like, your schedule these days? That, like, I mean,
Yeah.
Before, I'm assuming, listening to your origin story, you were building side projects for other people. You probably haven't done that in years, right?
Yeah. I was doing like consulting for companies probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. And as I made more money doing these online courses and as they became more popular, I switched over to doing it full time. But like my day, what does it look like? Well, I just got off an hour-long call with my accountant, talking about dividends, and like that's the kind of the frustrating thing about this is that I woke up and like you do all the kids stuff and get the kids ready for school and whatnot, and then I sat down on my computer and I very quickly I upgraded a website from Gatsby 2 to Gatsby 4, and that's because I just needed to get some coding in before I had this hour-long call about corporate structures with my accountant. And then I come talk to you. And then like the rest of my day is spent generally either working on my course platform. So that's like, it's called Boss Monster. That's a huge platform it does e-commerce, it does affiliates, it does signing up. There's a big database behind it. There's team licenses, there's refunds, there's a whole admin dashboard for my assistant, all that. That's the thing that I spend that's like where I actually learn how to do stuff because I'm building this entire application. And then there's also like a good chunk of that is researching courses, updating courses, building content, making examples, actually recording the stuff, etc.
Yeah. So that was going to be one of my questions. Like, so besides your own project, which it sounds like your own platform is a huge project in and of itself. Yeah. Do you spend time building stuff anymore that's not like for a course? And
yeah, I have like I'm constantly excited about new stuff, so I'm always like thinking of side projects that I can build. About a year ago I was learning TypeScript, so I sold like, I don't know, 6,000 t-shirts online. So I built a huge online store for that with TypeScript, and it was a different stack than I had used before, so that was really interesting. And I have a bunch of like little websites. Uses.tech is one of them. Keycode.info is another one. Like lots of these like tiny little projects that are on different stacks. I'm constantly thinking about like, for example, we just bought a car and I had to really stop myself from building like a scraper that would check all the different sources and compile them into one. So I constantly have lots of stuff sort of on the go for myself. I have no shortage of. That's the kind of one thing that scared me going full time building courses. Is I was like, I don't want to be that teacher that like doesn't actually hit real world bumps.
Yeah,
because we've all had that teacher where they just kind of hand wave foobar baz, simple example, and you go, okay, but like, what about the real world where things get hard, And I definitely haven't got away from that.
Well, it doesn't sound like you will either, because you actually enjoy it. Like you would. It sounds like you would do these side projects, building
totally
stuff.
Regardless. Yeah,
if it's money or not, you just figured out how to make a living off of it, which is really cool. Yeah, that's inspiring. And I think for beginners, by the way, that's something that I run up against a lot. We were going to talk about that before we started. I said that one of the things I think that we talk about often on this podcast is kind of that initial part where folks become interested in software engineering, and what they're really interested in is, oh, this is amazing. I mean, Wes like sits in this office. I assume you're your house probably.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Freaking
probably
huge
are.
ass monitors, fast ass like MacBook Pro. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, he's got the life, but
Yeah.
if they don't actually enjoy building, or if they're not genuinely curious, it ends up, it doesn't work out. They don't actually ever get to that. Even I remember back whenever I went through the boot camp I did, there was me and another guy were partners on this project. We were like building our final project. And I don't want to throw him under the bus here, but there's no way he's listening to this or anyone would know who he is. But we were decided to build our project in a bar. And he looked at me and he goes, "Isn't this great, man? Like, we can sit here and drink beer and like watch football. And like, this is going to be our lives." And I was like so frustrated by that, because I was like, I don't really want to build this thing. Like, why did we have to be at the bar to watch, the game? And that's been so true for everything I've seen so far, is like, if you really love it and enjoy it, of course it's frustrating, but if you got to get over that initial hump.
Yeah. That's something I've thought a lot about, is that like, do you need to be super passionate to make this your job? Like, cause like I don't know, does a plumber need to love pipes in order to get into this type of stuff? And like, I don't know, like, cause we see that a lot right now, is that there's a lot of people getting into tech because it pays well. You can work wherever you want. You can move to some small town. You can afford a house. It's pretty sweet. You can work for some pretty cool companies. And then there's the flashy aspect to it, which is you get this wicked desk and huge monitors and things like that. And like, there's people that are coming into it where they're like, okay, well, this might be a good career path to me. I don't necessarily love it just yet, but and I think in order to get really good at it and to advance in your career, hopefully you pick up that sort of like enjoyment of fixing problems and making things and whatnot. And it probably won't happen right away, because it's like you said, that initial hump is extremely frustrating, but hopefully you get that at some point in your career, because it's a huge asset to freaking love this stuff as well, and not just have it be a paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably true for any job. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, of how do you grow to love pipes and
yeah, but like, it's funny, but there are people that love it. Like I on my Instagram feed, at least, you see these guys who are like, there's like guys who are like famous drywallers on Instagram, and they talk about tape and tricks and tips, and like, what a miserable job being a drywaller must be. And these guys freaking love it,
Yeah. No, that's good. My brother, he lives in Texas, where I'm from, which we got to talk about barbecue, because we're gonna get there. And he runs like a boat detailing company, a car detailing company, and then like a ceramic coating company. And like, he's not passionate about detailing, but he loves, like, he does still enjoy like that kind of that satisfaction you get whenever like you can actually press done on something. And you see the transformation. And I feel like that's probably true with you, like looking at your Instagram and stuff. Like you've worked on a lot of like small like engine stuff recently, then like a lot of small projects like that. And there is something satisfying about simple things and working with your hands. And probably, as developers, I think we end up doing a lot of building, but I think whenever we get to do tangible things, it's a different kind of feedback loop that you get. It
totally
feels
nice. I agree.
It's funny that you do that, because I think most every developer I've worked with who's been good has had this like alter ego where they're like off grid, very into like gardening or carpentry, which is such a funny
it's
paradox.
People who are very good at development often are very, at least interested, maybe not necessarily good, but very interested in other things. And that's just a personality trait that makes a good developer, I think.
Is there a type, and I kind of ask this kind of question to everybody, like, is there a type of person based off of their hobbies, interests, things they were good at in school that make better developers than others? I mean, because there's a specific way you have to think, right? Whenever you're thinking about writing a paper or a book report or something, you can BS your way through things. With the computer, like, there's no BS, right? It works or doesn't work. I mean, there's different ways to solve stuff, but it's a different way.
I think there's kind of a couple different personalities. There's obviously the person who was super good at math and can nail down anything and nailed all the science stuff. Like those people are generally good programmers as well, because they're straight out smart. But from the majority of people who I see that are just like regular developers, you and I, a lot of them are, at least where I grew up, a lot of them grew up in the sort of like DIY scene, in the music scene.
Yeah.
Because it started very early on with MySpace, where you promote your band, you'd have MySpace, things like that. A lot of those people who are good at that are also good developers, because they can figure it out themselves. You know, they're able to sort of pick themselves up and figure out the tech or whatever it is that they need to do to make this thing work. They can figure those things out.
Yeah, I think it's ironic because that's sort of the creative side of things, right? I mean, we think of programming as being so logical, and I think again, I know all this not because I'm creepy, but because I just listened to your origin story on the way in this morning. Make sure I knew your background. But I love that you. I hadn't connected those dots before. I thought it was just me, that did like the MySpace game, because that was my first intro to programming too. And I actually played in a lot of what ended up being death metal bands.
Oh yeah.
In high school. And the coolest part, I mean, I literally thought the only path to a real job was, I guess I could get like a design degree and like design band t-shirts. Like, I don't know what else I could do, for a living that would be fun. So there's definitely this aspect of creativity. I think that some folks, because I was terrible at math and, got D's in physics and chemistry just because I had no interest. But I think programming allows me like to express this creative side where you can build stuff. It's not necessarily about like the solving like the detailed problem, but it's about building like the bigger thing.
It's true. You can build it yourself, and also you don't need permission from anybody. You don't need necessarily a degree. Obviously, there are degrees out there for this stuff, but you don't necessarily need it. Like if you are scrappy and you can figure things out, then you can make this a job.
How many folks that have gone through your courses, and I don't know if you have a good way of keeping track of this kind of stuff, like who these individuals are, since good Lord, there's hundreds of thousands of them now.
Yeah.
How many people do you see that actually are able to self-teach, not do a boot camp? I think everyone's past the point now of thinking that a college degree in computer science will teach you how to program. I think everyone agrees that it won't teach you how to program necessarily. It might teach you Java or something, but how many folks are self-taught do you see?
I don't know if I have any stats. There certainly is a personality type that will go off and self-teach. And then there's certainly like, if somebody asked me today, like if I've got unlimited time and money, like how should I do it? I say, go for a boot camp, because like I used to teach at a boot camp. I wrote the curricula for them. I see that support structure is likely a little bit better. And then you see people that get out of those and sort of keep teaching themselves. And like I taught one, like 8 years ago, and now those people are smarter than me and they've better paying jobs than I have, So I don't necessarily know if I have any stats on that, but I don't know. I think there's people at every aspect of the spectrum. That's why people take my courses, and that's why I don't take courses. Like, I'm not necessarily a good course taker, but there's a lot of people who are like, just sit me down and mama bird me the information. That's how I learn best.
I think beginners are surprised by how much focus and how long it actually does take, right? Like if you take Wes's courses, I mean, you'll be in a good spot, but
you're not going to get a job immediately. I get that email all the time. Hey, if I take these 3 courses, will I get a job? And it's like, unfortunately, no. That's not how it works. If you take these things and you learn, you keep building stuff, and you're passionate about it, and you, I don't know, have a side project or whatever. And absolutely, I see that all the time. People email me weekly. Hey, Wes, I got a job. Thank you so much. Like, I didn't give them the job, but I was part of their journey along the way. And that's what people need to know. And unfortunately, it is a lot of work.
Okay, I want to go back to asking about how you learn. Since you're working on your own projects, normally what it sounds like by yourself. I mean, how do you stay up with what everyone else is doing and how to build onto something bigger whenever you're mostly working on like your own project?
Oh yeah. I think it's a combination of talking to people who are in, like, I'm huge on Twitter. I love asking these kind of like open-ended questions on Twitter, because you get so much information from people of how they do things inside of their company. Getting questions from people on the podcast. My course platform is a pretty large code base in itself, and it does of what it does, both front end, back end, authentication, checkout, payments, stuff like that, does quite a bit in that regard. So I think that, at least for me, I feel like that covers a lot of where the industry is at, specifically in terms of the tech that I teach on.
Okay, I wanted to ask, because I mentioned Texas, and the thing that I'm not mad about it, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Because you had a sticker, right, that said, JavaScript Texas barbecue, but pulled pork, right? I mean, tell me about your barbecue. What are you cooking?
That's a funny thing about it. I just put that on there because I thought it would be funny, and then it did rub a couple Texans the wrong way because it was a pig. That's the hilarious thing about. I probably maybe should have put Canadian JavaScript Canadian barbecue, because Canadian barbecue is like literally whatever you want, and there's no I don't know what you say. There's no like a cult around barbecue in Canada. It's mostly just guys in the suburbs with their pellet smoker, taking pictures for their Instagram, and they're sending it to their 6 buddies and whatnot. So what am I smoking? Literally everything. I probably do a lot of chicken. I don't do the huge beef smokes very often, just in terms of time. I don't really, and also just like it's kind of hard to get a lot of those cuts that you get down. I see these guys go to Costco in the States and get these amazing cuts. Like you don't have those in Canada. Like I had to go to an Asian grocer just to get beef ribs, and I was like, can I get like a big beef rib? They're like, yeah, like you want to cut like for like Korean barbecue. I was like, no, like just give me the whole thing. He's like, what? I was like, no. Don't cut it up for me. He's like, okay. He thought that was so bizarre.
Yeah, I guess you just don't have the cows that we have,
I guess, or it's just like not a popular thing to buy beef ribs. They often will cut them up into like steaks, and then they'll sell these things called beef fingers, which is so bizarre. And it's just the fatty strips from in between the bones, and they'll just like package that up and sell it, and like it's good, but like it's pretty tricky to actually get like a proper rack of beef ribs or something like that.
Are you ever in Texas or in the?
Yeah, I was a couple times. I've probably been like maybe 4 or 5 times. It's been maybe 4 years since then. When I did go about 8 years for a client, and the client did like a whole thing, and they took us to and I know you're going to cringe when I say this, but they took us to Salt Lick, which is every Texan hates it, but like the barbecue is good, but like the vibe, they have this open pit, and you bring your own beer, and there's these lights hanging everywhere. Like this was before like Chip and Joe made those like hanging lights so popular. And like, oh man, it was such a good memory doing that, because it was just like we don't have that in Canada. It's friggin' snowing outside. We don't get these amazing patios like that.
That's awesome. My wife loves Salt Lake she's a sides person. She loves the potatoes and the bread.
The buns. Yeah, it's good.
My college graduation party at Salt Lake.
That's awesome.
So it's a good vibe. And we that's where we did our wine tasting for our wedding, and it was terrible wine. But anyway. That's awesome. Okay, I also wanted to ask, and this is more personal kind of stuff. So you have 3 kids, right? I mean, I have 3 kids.
Yeah.
What is your? I mean, did you set out whenever you were doing? And I know like your story kind of started way back. You were just coding from the beginning, sort of. Which, by the way, I love that the origin story of developers these days, as like, I think we're similar age. We get old. It is changed, because used to it was I discovered, like an old Apple II in the garage or something, and started programming. And now like our origin story is Myspace. But did you set out, did you have a set of values where like, hey, I want to be able to work from home, be present with my kids? I mean, what kind of has inspired that?
I have always been very entrepreneurial my entire life. Like when I was a kid, I remember I had like a paper route. And like that was a thing you did as a kid. And I remember like hating it. I remember just like running the math, being like, this sucks because it takes I'm basically trading my time for money, and there's no growth there. You're not going to get more houses, or if you do, then then you have to stay home on Saturday. So I remember being like, I could mow lawns instead. So I dumped the route on my sister and I went and mowed lawns, and that was, I would make $20 for like an hour of mowing a lawn, or $15. And like that's like right now, that's a good money. That's what minimum wage is, 20 years later. And I was making that when I was a little kid, which is awesome. So I had always had this like entrepreneurial spirit and had always worked for myself. When MySpace got popular, I was doing t-shirt designs and little websites for like side money. I did that all the way through university. And then like in university, I had a bunch of like co-ops where I would go into. I worked for ExxonMobil. I worked for a little video agency. And I realized like I don't love working for other people. I just want to do my own thing. I just enjoy doing my own thing so much. So that sort of just like fed that in. When we moved away from the big city, I had been working on my first course for over a year. And then when we were expecting our first kid, like that paternal instinct kicked in, like, man, you got to provide for your family, like, right, you gotta make a nice home for them and be able to afford food and all that stuff. So like that sort of kicked in. I was like, all right, I gotta launch this type of thing. And from there, 3 kids later, it's a huge value of mine to be able to work from home. Like my daughter walks in all the time. There's a little drawing she dropped off for me. And it's really cool to be able to just work 9 to 5 and to be able to go down and say hi to them, and to be able to duck out if you need to, or take a Friday off. And we have a nice cottage. We go up to the cottage with the family. So that is very high on my list of values. And I'm very lucky that being a developer has allowed me to do that.
Yeah. You were working from home before it was cool. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
When it was really cool, maybe that's the better way of saying it. Whenever people didn't get to do that so much. I love that. And I mean, that's a huge reason I think a lot of people these days are attracted to tech, is because you don't have to trade depending on what you're building. You know, there's an opportunity now for more people to not have to trade their hours for dollars, and can actually build a life, you know, not just depending on like the job you do. What's next for you, man? As you evolve, you're continuing to push out courses. I know they take time. And by the way, I'm real not jealous. I don't know if that's the right word or not. I admire the way you build your stuff, because, you know, as we have an online program and I've built all of the curriculum and content out for that, and it feels like everything's rushed because I'm building a whole program, like not just a React course, but I'm building like a React course, a Node course, fundamental, all those kind of things. And so I love like this picture you have of being able to spend like a good 4 months, like building a really polished, and they are freaking entertaining, course. But what's next for you? Are you just going to, is it continuing to build courses? Is there something else that, now that you kind of had this milestone that you've reached for a while, is there something different?
It's honestly just doing more of the same. Quite honestly, the stuff I'm working on right now is we're getting processes in place so that I don't have to spend as much time on the business, meaning that accounting, payroll, dealing with lawyers, all of that busy work is really frustrating to me. I don't enjoy it. I do it because it's part of running a business and you have to. But if you can work really hard to put processes in place so that stuff goes smoothly and is automated, and you got people for that, then that's ideal. And because honestly, at the end of the day, there's nothing I love more than just sitting down and banging on the keyboard and making stuff with writing some code. So just more courses is really my thing. I'm just going to keep on doing it till it don't work no more.
I love it, man. And then the other thing I really want to ask you before kind of closing things down, crypto. I've been searching for thoughts from folks who are, and I think especially for the web development world,
Yeah.
To, I don't even know what you think about those terms or not. What are your opinions on kind of like the next phase, and is it real? Is it here to stay?
Yeah.
Will you be playing a part in it?
I have lots of opinions on it. So I hold, I would say, a significant amount of crypto myself. I have for a long time, and I've been watching it all. A lot of the stuff around Web3 that's starting to pop up lately. I haven't built anything in it, but I've been researching it and watching it and reading it, and just saying like, okay, like what is this good for? I'm here for it because like I'm the guy that makes courses, and like I could clean up if I released a Web3 course, right? People have been asking me for it. But like that said, I don't get what benefits it has. There seems to be like I keep asking people like what is a good use case for this? Not to say that there isn't a good use case, and it probably hasn't even popped up yet. And that's what those people are a lot of people are working on right now. There's a lot of like grifters and everything. People are like a lot of TikTok crypto boys trying to like sell you something, which you just steer clear of. But there's also a lot of people that are sort of like trying to figure this tech out. And to me right now, there's a lot more issues than really any benefits that I see that are popping up. It just none of it makes sense to me yet. So I'm sort of just sitting on my hands, waiting and watching for something like this to sort of make sense for people. And when that's the case, I'm into it. So yeah, I'm kind of playing both sides here. Like I'm skeptical, and I also think like I had a tweet the other day that says like there's a lot of people that are anxious around them missing out on the crypto bubble for some reason. Like you're gonna be late to the game and whatever. And if Web3 really is the future, then we're all going to know it. We're all going to see it coming. We're all going to be able to freely take part in it. And I wouldn't feel stressed out. And also, like, spoiler alert, the tech that you need to build on Web3 is just JavaScript and like all this stuff. You still need to know Web2 in order to do it. So don't stress. I know there's probably a lot of like beginners listening to this feeling stressed out, like, oh, I'm going to hitch my wagon to, because I hitched my wagon to Web2 and I built my career on that. So there's a lot of people saying like, I'm going to do that same thing, but with Web3, because that's clearly it's the next number, you know? So I don't know if that really answers your question or not, but cautiously optimistic, but also there's a lot of hucksters and it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Folks are quick to want to jump on the next train because they don't want to miss it, you know? And if you look at a lot of the negative conversations kind of in the space of the folks who I think we're helping out, which are beginners, there's a lot of negative talk normally for those folks around, oh, if you don't know this, like you're not relevant, or, oh, if you learned this, you learned the wrong thing, you learned it the wrong way. And I think Web3 for the crowd can be, as you said, really anxiety inducing. And it is true. Like if every I mean, Coinbase is built on Web2. You know, there's no new like metaverse where you can only buy crypto like in virtual reality and on some kind of new crazy platform that runs off of nuclear energy or something. I think that's what it seems like is happening. But I am interested. I think, you know, one of the things that is appealing, and I feel like you would or will, or someone like you will play a cool role in this as it comes out, is the whole DAO concept of how like these communities online are being built out. And I think right now it's just, as you're kind of implying, even with your own business, right? It's getting processes together to build out a business that's simple, that has one owner, is incredibly difficult. You know, I think DAOs will take a long time before they're actually able to become any real organizations that add value. But I think it is really cool to be able to have this this idea where technology could enable, just as something as simple as you building your course platform has enabled thousands on thousands of people to learn a new skill, to now contribute with those new skills. I think is really I don't know. It's fascinating to watch it at least. But yeah. Man, Wes. Okay, so we're gonna plug all of your things. Your podcast, which is much better than this one, and different. But I think people. It's really a podcast, I think, where even beginners can plug in. Anything else I'm forgetting here, or should have asked you?
No, I don't think so. That's I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. If you're curious about the like non-coding stuff, that's usually I post that stuff on Instagram. So if you want to see how to repair a Sea-Doo or something like that, that's where I post that.
Definitely do. Yeah.
Cool.
I'll be watching those in case I run into a Sea-Doo sometime, or if we get a freak snow in North Carolina.
Yeah, there you go.
You're the guy who knows how to navigate that. Well, man, thank you so much for the time. I really do appreciate it. Carving out time from talking to accountants and things to.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to some coding this afternoon to offset all the talking I did this morning.
There you go. All right, man. Enjoy the rest of your day. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
See you, Wes. All right, that does it for today's episode of the Develop Yourself podcast. Don't forget to check out Dev30. It's dev30.xyz. Again, that is our 30-day cohort-based JavaScript course that is going to help you develop your skills, your mindset, your habits, and your network to help kickstart your hopeful career as a software engineer. So check that out. Launches on February 14th, but go ahead and get yourself applied so that you can be ready.